So you're new to Sea of Thieves. Now you're probably wondering, where do I even start? How do I earn gold? What mistakes should I avoid? Well, this video will not only explain how to play this open world pirate game, but also how to master it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1. Choosing your pirate. The best place to start is the beginning, and choosing your pirate will be the first thing you ever do in Sea of Thieves. It's important to know that whichever pirate you choose is the pirate you will be stuck with. You cannot change your mind afterwards, unless you want to pay real-life money for a pirate appearance potion from the Emporium. If you don't want to spend IRL money, then the only other option is to delete your pirate. And I would not recommend this, as you will lose all your cosmetics, gold and progress. So if you gotta spend 6 hours finding that perfect pirate, there's no judgment from me. Number 2. High seas and safer seas. Once you have chosen the best pirate, now you need to figure out the best game mode for you. As a new player, you will be prompted to complete the maiden voyage, which I highly recommend you do, as it will explain the basic functions of your ship. After you have completed the maiden voyage, you have two options: high seas or safer seas. Safer seas is a private server for you and your crew, so you don't need to worry about running into other player ships or enemies. There is no PvP, and you can enjoy exploring the vast world without any threat. If you're extremely new to the game or not comfortable yet potentially running into other players, then Safer Seas is for you. However, you will only earn 30% of the gold and reputation that you would earn in high seas. This game is based on high risk, high reward. So as soon as you feel ready, get yourself onto the high seas, as your gold, reputation and commendations are all going to increase so much quicker. Number 3. Pick the right ship. So you're setting sail for the first time and the menu prompts you to pick a ship. It's gonna be so tempting to choose the massive galleon because it's the biggest and it looks the most powerful, right? Wrong. You have 3 choices of ships because they are all suited for different occasions. If you're playing by yourself or with one other person, then please pick the sloop. Never solo a galleon because you will sink
and die.
Brigs are recommended for 3 players, and then finally, only ever pick a galleon if you have a full crew of 4. They are very difficult to control and you literally need a solid crew of 4 players to manage this ship. Don't underestimate the sloop. It might be the smallest ship in the game, but it's arguably the deadliest. If you want to learn how to master the sloop, then I've attached a video in the top right corner of the screen, or check the pinned comments below. Number 4. Supplies. No ship is complete without being stocked up with wood, food and cannonballs. Before setting sail, always make sure to spend some time at the outpost grabbing supplies. To speed this up, you can visit the merchant trader on the docks and buy a storage crate. You can then run around all the barrels on the outpost, collecting their contents into the storage crate. Then simply empty your storage crate into your ship's barrels. Storage crates do cost gold, but they are so worth it for efficiency. The best food in the game are pineapples, followed by mangoes, pomegranates, coconuts and then bananas. So definitely prioritize getting pineapples and mangoes. Another option at the merchant is to buy crates of food, wooden planks, cannonballs and bait. I always buy all of these crates except the bait crate, as you won't really need this unless you're doing some fishing. Number 5. Settings and keybinds. Now that you're ready to set sail, you will want to adjust some settings to make your life easier. Obviously, do whatever makes you comfortable, but as a rough guide, first off you will want to head into settings, then graphic settings, and make sure that your field of view is set to 90. This will give you a wider view, and trust me, I don't know any pirate that plays on anything less than 90. Next, head into either keyboard and mouse or controller, and I highly advise setting up a keybind for your food and for your wooden planks. When you're in an emergency, you are mostly going to be using food and planks, so this is why I recommend prioritizing these 2 items for quick access. Number 6. Hourglass. You see this pretty little fascinating looking hourglass on your ship's quest table? Leave it alone. Do not touch it, don't place your vote on it. In fact, just don't even look at it, okay? Unless you hate yourself and want to punish yourself immensely. If you vote this down, it will place you in a 1v1 match against another player's ship and you will battle to the death. This would arguably be a great way to practice your skills, except there is basically no skill-based matchmaking system, and I can guarantee that you will be matched against an absolute PvP god who has over 10,000 hours in the game and will send your ship right back down below the waves before you can even say, "Stop shooting, I'm friendly." So yeah, don't touch this. Number 7. Emissaries. This is how you will earn gold the fastest. But you're probably wondering, what even is an emissary? Well, in Sea of Thieves you have 5 different factions that you can sell items to in return for gold and reputation. These are the Gold Hoarders, the Order of Souls, the Merchant Alliance, the Reaper's Bones, and Athena's Fortune. You can find each of these factions at every single outpost you visit, and they will have their own little tent so you will know exactly where to go. All of these 5 factions have an emissary flag that you can raise that will look like this, where you can represent that company and earn bonus rewards. But there's a catch. To get one of these cool looking flags, you will have to pay 20,000 gold as a one-time purchase, and you will also have to be level 15 in that company. But once you've bought it, it's yours to raise whenever and as frequently as you want. The more you work for that company, the higher your grade goes up. Completing quests, commendations, and most importantly, putting specific loot on your ship will increase your emissary grade all the way up to a maximum of grade 5. Now you're probably wondering, what's the point in all this? Well, if you do hit that magical grade 5 emissary status, you will earn a bonus of 2.5 times gold and reputation for every item you sell. I recommend to make this one of your first goals when entering Sea of Thieves because it can really make the journey a lot more rewarding. Number 8. Sovereigns and Captaincy. This is arguably the most important thing in Sea of Thieves, and I will die on that hill. If you want to become a captain, there is only one thing you have to do, and that is to buy your own ship. To do this, head over to the main menu and look under the My Ships tab. Here you will see the option to buy a ship. It's an investment for sure, but trust me, it's worth it. Now, once you've done this, this is where the fun begins. Now, you can pick your own name for your ship, but be careful since once you choose your name, you are stuck with it. Unless you want to pay real money in the Pirate Emporium for a ship rename indeed. Also, please don't call your ship the Black Pearl. Everybody uses that name. You can be more original, I believe in you. Enjoy it, take your time with it, and I recommend picking something that represents you and your sailing adventures. Once you do pick your name, let me know in the comments what your ship is called. Now, you may wonder why all of this is so important. Well, a few things. The first is being able to sell at this tent right here, which is called the Sovereigns. You can find this tent at the secondary dock, which is on every single outpost. This place is actually the quickest way to sell in the entire game. Instead of having to run to every single different trading tent, you can sell every single piece of loot right here. So if you're being chased down by an enemy ship, you can easily just pull up and turn things in within seconds. Other captaincy perks include being able to save ship cosmetics to your vessel, and also being able to purchase captaincy supplies at every outpost, which saves so much time. Number 9. The wind. Is there weather in Sea of Thieves? Yes, there is, and it changes constantly, so you'll want to pay close attention to it. Every good pirate knows how to angle their sails. You will get to and from places much quicker if you have the wind, especially if you're playing on high seas and want to chase down an enemy or run away from one. Whenever you're stood on your ship and you look up, you can clearly see which way the wind is blowing. Use the ropes to guide your sails into the wind and you will hear this noise. To help bigger ships like brigs and galleons, the game will play this noise when all of your sails are angled into the wind. But what happens when you don't have the wind on your side? Well, on a sloop, you should angle your sails fully forward. If you're on a brig or galleon, then angle your sails either all the way to the left or the right, depending on the wind direction. Bigger ships move faster having the sails angled even if you don't have full wind. So, as a sneaky extra tip, if you're a sloop and you want to run away from a larger enemy ship, sail in the opposite direction to the wind, as the sloop is the faster ship against the wind. Number 10. World events. The best and easiest way to make quick gold is through world events. These are dangerous but exciting events that will randomly activate in your server. Only one event can spawn at a time, and you can easily locate the active world event by looking at the clouds. There will be large indicators such as massive skulls or massive tornadoes. Once a crew completes the active world event, or if nobody interacted with it and the timer runs out, then the cloud will despawn and a new world event will begin shortly afterwards. Ultimately, world events are a very fun and quick way to earn high tier loot, gold and reputation, all whilst progressing your commendations. Be aware though that this does make you a target, as every other ship on the server can also see the active world event, and they might want that booty for themselves. Number 11. Shipwrecks. Something that gets overlooked a lot in Sea of Thieves are shipwrecks. You can spot if there's a shipwreck nearby either by actually seeing it poke out of the water, or as indicated by a large flock of birds flying above the ocean. Shipwrecks are always worthwhile checking out, and here's why. Need extra supplies? It's got them. Looking for fish? It's got them. Searching for treasure? That's right, it's got them. You get the point. I found so many rare fish in the shipwreck barrels, and you are always guaranteed to find some valuable loot in these things. And remember, if you start drowning, just eat some fruit. Works every time. Would not recommend this in real life situations, however. Number 12. Message in a bottle. And I'm not talking about the certified banger by the police. Located upon the shorelines of many islands in Sea of Thieves, and sometimes floating around in the water too, you might spot something shiny. If it happens to be a message in a bottle, then you've just earned yourself a one-way ticket to getting paid. These bottles may not look like much, but upon opening, you will receive a random quest which is guaranteed to be worth your time. No matter what type of quest you receive, it will always bring you high-tier loot that will earn you a lot of gold. I highly recommend you always pick these little bad boys up, as they really do get overlooked by the average pirate, and they have no idea what they're missing out on. Number 13. Mermaids. The rumours are true. Only the best pirates fall off their ships regularly. So how do you get back? Well, if you are ever too far away from your ship, or if your ship is to sink, then a mermaid will appear. You can hear the sound of a mermaid spawning here. And you will also see a plume of blue smoke above a mermaid to indicate its location. Interacting with the mermaid will black screen you back to your ship and you're good to go. But that's not it. Mermaids are also a good way to tell if an enemy player is close by. Let's say you're doing a world event and you notice a mermaid in the water without any blue smoke above it. Now you should be extra paranoid, as it means there is an enemy player somewhere on the island and you should expect an imminent attack. So always keep an eye out for rogue mermaids. Number 14. Kegs. You see this? This is a boom barrel. It goes boom. It does a lot of damage to your ship if it goes off. Do not carry these on your ship. They only sell for like 100 gold, they barely give any reputation, and you really do not need to escort them round the Sea of Thieves, putting your entire ship in danger. All it takes is one snipey snipe from an enemy player, or a rogue cannonball from a skeleton ship, and it's game over, especially if you're solo. If you do for some random reason need to carry a keg on your ship, do not put it in your crow's nest. If it blows up in there, then you will be saying farewell to your beloved mast, also leaving your ship immobile and prone to enemy attacks. So if you gotta take them, put them right at the bowsprit of your ship. That way you will still take damage to the front of your ship, but at least your mast will stay intact. Number 15. Be aware. When sailing on the high seas, everything could be a threat. So a good pirate has to always be aware of their surroundings and dangers. Regularly check your map for anything that looks like this. This is a Reaper ship, and it's the one faction that is all about PvP, fighting and sinking other ships. If you vote up a Reaper emissary, then your ship is visible to everyone else on that server. Reaper ships cannot see you on their map unless they get to grade 5 emissary, at which point anyone with an emissary flag raised will be signified on their maps by a shadow. So, if you see a grade 5 Reaper ship, maybe you want to think twice about raising an emissary and doing a loot stack, as you will be the perfect prey. Even if there aren't any Reaper ships, you should still be aware of your environment. That ship in the distance could be planning an attack on you. No matter where you are, you always have the risk of enemies rolling up on you unexpectedly. For this reason, never drop your anchor. Learn to raise your sails instead. Your anchor being down is the worst position you could ever leave yourself in. If an enemy does approach you, you want to be able to drop your sails and get out of there, not waste time having to raise your anchor and risk getting killed by your enemy. Number 16. Weapons. Your weapon loadout is crucial when determining the outcome of a fight. Currently, there are 4 weapons to choose from, but only 2 can be equipped at a time. You have the shotgun, aka blunderbuss. This is the only weapon that can kill an enemy player with 1 shot. It's great for close range combat and the best weapon for preventing people boarding your ship, as it has a knockback effect. There is the pistol or flintlock, which will deal around 50% damage to enemies and is a bit harder to master, but the fast reload times are a huge advantage. Next, we have my favourite, the sniper or Eye of Reach. Dealing around 70% damage, this will leave your enemies in the red health zone, which will cause your enemy to panic. Finally, we have the sword or the cutlass. It will deal 25% damage per swipe and is probably the easiest weapon to use, as all you have to do is keep spamming that swipe button. My motto is, if you've got a sword, you've got a chance. My recommended loadout for new players would be sword and blunderbuss, as they are the easiest to learn but equally as deadly. With more practice and time spent in combat, you will naturally get a vibe for the different weapons. And honestly, pick a loadout which suits your playing style and whatever you feel comfortable with. Number 17. Ferry of the Damned. Okay, so not every fight is going to be successful and you might end up getting killed by your enemy, but that's okay. The game is not over. You will be sent to the Ferry of the Damned, which is a temporary place where you serve a short sentence before being allowed to return to your ship. The time you spend on the ferry is determined by the size of your ship and crew. So if you're a solo slooper, you're going to be respawning much quicker than a galleon crew. Fun fact, you can also change your weapon loadout right here on the ferry. Number 18. Changing servers. Every now and then you may come across some salty sea dogs. If you ever find yourself facing a toxic crew or getting spawn camped, then you might want to switch servers. Now don't get me wrong, during battles you may have to kill your enemies 2 to 3 times before their ship actually sinks. And this is not spawn camping, this is simply just securing the sink. But if you're being killed over and over for no apparent reason without your ship having any holes, this would be classed as spawn camping. If this happens, you can scuttle your ship by bringing up the menu, going to My Crew, and right at the bottom you will see an option for scuttling your ship. This will instantly sync your ship so that you will respawn somewhere else on that server. If you want to get a new server though, which I recommend you do, then press vote to scuttle to a new sea. You will lose your supplies and all of your loot, but you will regain your sanity. Number 19. Alliances. Have you ever heard the saying, mics save lives? Well, it's true. The speaking trumpet allows you to speak to other crews on the seas at long range. Tell them you're friendly or you're new to the game and would appreciate if they had any tips to share instead of sharing their cannonballs into your hull. This might not always work, but usually any pirate with good morals doesn't want to sink a new player. This might lead to the other crew asking to form an alliance. But what does that mean? Well, if you are allianced with another ship, anything they sell, you will receive 50%, but they still receive the full amount, so nobody loses out. It's basically free money. Your alliance crewmates will sport a purple gamer tag instead of the usual white, and you can also see each other's ships on your map. To form an alliance, head up to your crow's nest and open up the flag box. On the second page, you can raise an offer alliance flag. The other crew will then have an option to join alliance in their flag box, and boom, you've formed your first alliance. Number 20, have fun. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is to have fun. There is no right or wrong way to play Sea of Thieves. If you want to run around exploring the scenery, you can. If you want to sink another ship, you totally can, and you don't need to feel bad about it. It is a pirate game after all. Equally, if you don't want to engage in combat, you are totally within your right to run away. Don't let anyone else tell you how you should or shouldn't be playing or spending your time on Sea of Thieves. Everyone is welcome on the seas, so find Find your unique playing style which makes you happy and roll with it. Be okay with knowing that sometimes you will sink, sometimes you'll lose all your loot and supplies, and you will probably encounter lots of unexpected things. But that's just the beauty of the game. No 2 play sessions will ever be the same, and even after 5 years of playing, I still lose battles and I lose my loot to enemy pirates. Try to get in the mindset that loot isn't yours until you've sold it, and at the end of the day, it's night. At the end of the day, it's just pixels on a screen, so don't take things too personally. That's what being a true pirate means. If you have any advice or tips of your own, I'd love to hear them in the comments. All these tips will help you become a better pirate. But if you feel like this video was too basic for you and you want some more advanced tips for Sea of Thieves, then check out this video on the screen right now.